13. She betrayed me for a luxury trip, but I boarded the plane first. So, would you leave your boyfriend of 3 years for a free trip to Greece? What about if I told you that the ticket was first class, all expenses paid, flight from LA, 5-star hotel right by the beach, private chef, all that jazz? Would you still say no? Well, how about if the person offering you the trip is none other than the CEO of your company, who's known for sleeping with his employees in order to promote them? Now does the answer change? My answer would be no, it doesn't. And even though it hurts me to admit this, I think it was the stupidest decision I've ever made in my life. But I did it anyway. Let me explain. The whole thing started when I was having lunch with Michael, my boss. He was 40, a self-made multi-billionaire, and a real jerk, but not ugly in a weird kind of way. You know, he had a crooked nose and a big gut, but there was something about him that women found irresistible. For example, take Patricia, our head of marketing. She was so desperate to get ahead in her career that she slept with Michael, got pregnant, then had a miscarriage, and blamed it on him. Or consider Tanya, our chief accountant. She went after Michael right after Patricia left. She got pregnant, gave birth to a baby boy, and is now enjoying her maternity leave. As for me, I started working at the company only a few months ago, but I already knew both their stories. So when they invited me to join them for lunch, I politely declined. I wasn't trying to be rude or anything, but I didn't want to be alone with Michael in that small, closed space. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, my colleagues took it to heart and spread rumors around the office saying that I was refusing to see Michael because I was interested in sleeping with him. Don't get me wrong, I'm not some sort of prude who judges people for sleeping around, but it just wasn't my thing. I was loyal, committed, and head over heels in love with my boyfriend of 3 years, Adrian. Adrian worked as a software engineer and was everything to me. Not only was he handsome and sweet, but he also made me laugh like nobody else, and we had great chemistry. I never thought that I could love someone as much as I loved him. So one afternoon, I was sitting at my desk, typing away on my laptop when Michael knocked on my door. I looked up and saw him standing there with a smirk on his face. "Can I come in?" he asked. I hesitated for a moment, but then I nodded and he walked in. "I heard you're doing great work here," he said, taking a seat. "Thank you," I replied politely. But he didn't seem satisfied with that answer. "How about we celebrate with a trip to Greece?" he asked. I felt uncomfortable, but I couldn't help but wonder what he had in mind. "What do you mean?" I asked cautiously. He leaned forward and whispered something in my ear. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Was he serious? He wanted me to go to Greece with him. Alone. I was shocked. "Oh, thank you," I said quickly. "I'm sorry, but I can't." He looked disappointed, but he didn't push it. Instead, he stood up and walked toward the door. "Very well," he said, "but please reconsider. It'll be fun, I promise." Then he left without another word. For a moment, I couldn't believe what had just happened. Had Michael really just asked me to go to Greece with him? Why? And why did he seem so disappointed when I refused? I shook my head and tried to focus on my work, but it was difficult. I kept thinking about what Michael had said, and I couldn't help but feel curious. Maybe a trip to Greece wouldn't be so bad, I thought. I mean, who wouldn't want to go there? It was a beautiful country with amazing food and culture. Plus, it would be a great opportunity to get away from my boring routine. On the other hand, I knew that going with Michael would be a huge mistake. He was married and I didn't want to be the other woman. At the same time, I couldn't deny that I was attracted to him. There was something about his confidence and power that intrigued me. I knew I shouldn't give in to those feelings, but I couldn't help but wonder what would happen if I did. That night, I tossed and turned in bed trying to make a decision. I knew that whatever I chose would have consequences, but I couldn't decide which path to take. Finally, as the sun began to rise, I made up my mind. I was going to go to Greece with Michael. I know it sounds crazy. I mean, why would I do such a thing? Well, the truth is, I was selfish. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to feel special and desired. I was lonely, even though I was in a relationship. And most of all, I wanted to escape from my boring life. And who better to take me on an amazing adventure than Michael, the powerful CEO who seemed to have it all? I mean, it was too good of an opportunity to pass up. The day I told Michael my decision, he was ecstatic. He took me out for dinner to celebrate, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. I knew I was making a huge mistake, but I couldn't deny that it felt good to be wanted by someone like Michael. Over the next few weeks, we made preparations for the trip. We booked a private jet and a luxurious villa on the coast. I packed my bags and said goodbye to Adrian. I was excited and nervous at the same time. I knew this was a dangerous game I was playing, but I was too far in to turn back. When I arrived in Greece, Michael was waiting for me at the airport with a smile on his face. "Welcome to my neck of the woods," he said, taking my suitcase from the porter. "I'm so glad you came," I smiled back, trying to hide my nerves. "Me too," I said. He handed me a bouquet of beautiful white roses, and we left the airport together. Throughout the trip, Michael treated me like a princess. We flew in a private jet, stayed in a luxurious villa, ate at fancy restaurants, and took romantic walks on the beach. He showered me with expensive gifts and compliments, and I couldn't help but feel flattered. But beneath the surface, I was struggling with guilt and fear. I knew I was betraying Adrian, and I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was being used. Michael was charming and charismatic, but I could tell he was only interested in one thing. On the third day of the trip, it happened. We were having lunch by the pool when Michael made a move on me. "You're beautiful," he said, his eyes fixed on mine. "I can't deny it anymore. I want you." I felt my heart skip a beat. This was it, the moment of truth. I knew what Michael wanted, but I wasn't sure how to respond. For a moment, I considered rejecting him. I knew I should go back to Adrian. I'd hurt him enough as it was. But then I felt Michael's hand on mine, and I could unhelp but lean into his touch. As the days passed, I found myself torn between two worlds. On one hand, I had Michael, the powerful CEO who made me feel like $1,000,000. But on the other hand, I had Adrian, the man I loved and who truly cared about me. I struggled with guilt, fear, and confusion, not knowing which path to choose. But deep down, I knew I couldn't keep living a double life forever. When I returned home from Greece, I was a changed person. I couldn't look at Adrian the same way again. The guilt of what I had done was eating away at me, and I knew I had to come clean. But how Adrian deserved honesty and transparency, but could he ever forgive me? I was afraid to find out, but I knew I had to try. Have you ever been torn between two men, not knowing which one to choose? Do you think I made the right decision by telling Michael no? Or should I have gone to Greece with him? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more spicy content like this. See you next time.